Good evening. I'm your host, Modesty, and welcome to the Celebrity Spotlight Live Talk Show, where we take you beyond the lights, the cameras, and the action of celebs, authors, actors, radio hosts, and personalities, performing artists, businessmen and businesswomen, and other noteworthy professionals. Tonight, we're so happy to be hosting our guest who hails from East St. Louis.
Yes.
East St. Louis is in the house tonight, and she goes by the name of Shonda Tennelle. Shonda is an author. She's a poet, a songwriter, and a contributing writer as of late to S.U.M magazine. Welcome, Shonda. How are you this evening, love?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you so much. And thank you for accepting our invitation. We're excited, and for the next 30 minutes, we're going to interview you about your journey as an author and talk to you about the other various gifts and talents that you've also have been bestowed upon you. So we're going to get started, and if there are any listeners on the line, thank you so much for tuning in. If you can stay the full length of the call, that's fine. If not, thank you again. We value your time. All right, Shonda. Writing is very empowering. It's very motivational, and it can also be very therapeutic and loads of fun. So tell us, when did your journey as a writer begin?
Well, I started writing early on. I went to an elementary school called Paul Lawrence Dunbar, and as some of you may know, he was a famous poet. So that gave me a really inspiration about writing. So I learned about, poets and stuff early on in my childhood.
Wow. Do you remember, now I'm not going to ask you your age, but do you remember the very first piece you might have drafted or written by yourself as you was growing up? Do you remember the name of it? Was it 2 sentences long? Was it a paragraph? Do you remember what it was?
Yes, I wrote my own I Have a Dream speech. After Martin Luther King. It was a school project for our 5th grade class, and I won 2nd place for my speech.
That's magnificent. And just to hear a woman say that they have an I Have a Dream speech, that is magnificent. Did you publish it, or did you consider publishing it as you got older, or it's just something that you utilize as one of your stepping stones as you're continuing to write as a poet?
Yes, it was just something that, since it was a school project and it was Black History Month, so me being a writer and knowing that I could write, even being that young, it was just like a stepping stone for the next journey in my life.
That is phenomenal. Now, when we're young, we say so many things like, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a fireman, I want to be an actress, I want to be this and that. When you was growing up as a little girl, did you want to become a writer, or that's just something that your mom or your dad or someone in your family encouraged you to go in that direction? Because, when we're young, we say, I want to be this and that, and then as we get older, things begin to change, or we change our focus, and we want to sing, and we want to do all kinds of things. So was writing one of the things that you wanted to do, or was there something else you wanted to do as you was a little girl?
Actually, I wanted to go to the Marines. My family is very military. All of my uncles and my dad went to the Marines. They were in the Marines. And since I was the oldest child and the girl, it was like I was going to be the first girl actually to go. But, as time went on, it was like I got other interests and stuff. But, when you grow up in that kind of family, military, you're proud, and especially the Marines, it's like that was just top notch. It was the thing to do in our family. So I really wanted to go to the Marines at first.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. My family background, we don't have a lot of military people in the military in my family, but there are several. My sister who passed away, she was in the military, and my niece, well, she got out, but nevertheless, her husband, he's in the military, and maybe one other person. They're from Fayetteville, New York. I think there's a base down there as well. But that's quite interesting. So you pretty much veered off into something totally different other than the military. But that's a good thing, because when you have passion for something, you're going to put your all into it when you're passionate about it, you know. Now, you are an author, and the name of your book is entitled In Between Love. Now, tell us, when did you first, did something take place in your life personally or in a friend's life or a family member's life that evoked you or encouraged you or ignited you to write your own book and to become a first-time author?
Yes, I was actually laid off from a mortgage company, and with all the different experiences that I had had in, like, different relationships, it was like I can write a book. I was so used to, like, writing poetry, and I wanted to do something that was totally different. So I researched how to write a book, and with, you know, some encouragement from some of my friends who had read some of the stuff some of the poetry that I had written, yeah. They were like, that would be a very good thing for you to do. So I got a notebook and started writing, and for like the next 6 months, that's all I did, developed stories. Some of the stories that are in the book come from personal experiences, you know, from some of my friends, and, you know, characters changing and this and that, but a lot of it is a personal experience of mine.
Right. And when you've gone through something, no one can tell your story like you can tell your story. You know, we read books and about other people and the things that have taken place in their lives, but when you go through something personally and you're not just listening to someone else's story, no one can write your story like you can write your own story. And that's wonderful. So the fact that you were laid off, sometimes when things happen to us, I'm not going to say it's a blessing to get laid off, because it's not. But I will say this, sometimes when one door closes, it can be a blessing in disguise, per se. You know, and as long as your steps are ordered by the Lord, no matter what takes place in our own lives, we're definitely going to come out on top, you know, as long as we continue to have faith in God and we stay focused. And who knew you was going to get laid off from this mortgage company? But that was a great segue for you to say, listen, let me get this book done. I've got something that I want to say, and which leads into my next question. You said that your friends encouraged you. What was the reaction of your family when you told them, hey, I'm going to write a book? And the reason I'm asking you is because sometimes when we reveal to friends and family members what we are going to do, we really find out sometimes who they really are and if they're on our side or not, etc. So what was the reaction of your family when you told them, I'm going to write this book? Or did you keep it a secret?
I kept it a secret. They didn't even know until the book was actually published. And I'm one of those persons who, once I put my mind to doing something, it really wouldn't have mattered who came and said what. It was going to be done. I wrote it out. I found a self-publishing company. Like, I did all of this research on my own. And being laid off and finding a part-time job really did give me the time to do all of this research on my own. I would not have known how to do a self-publishing book, you know, how to even edit the book, because I edited the book on my own. The only thing that the publishing company did was the artwork that's on the front of the book.
Right.
But that was it. I did my own editing. You know, all of the other things came from me. I put my own money towards doing the self-publishing because I wanted it to say that I did this. It was my thing. And it gave me a sense of, I can say that I'm a self-published author.
Yes, you can. That's right. And so often, even as I was growing up, looking at authorships, like I said, we read a lot of other people's books. I found out, because I'm an author as well, I found out that you don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be a celebrity. You don't have to be famous to write a book. You can do it. And what I love that you said is that you did your own research. You saw something and you went after it. You wanted to become an author, so you did whatever it took to get to that place. And that alone, Shonda, is very encouraging, because sometimes you never know who's watching you. You never know who's listening to you, because what we do sometimes and what we say can have an impact on other people. They may never tell us.
Yes,
then again, they might tell us. So you're stepping out, I would say, on the waters and doing your own research and finding out what it takes to publish and formatting it and doing it yourself. I'm sure it gave you a great sense of pride. You are an author now, okay,
yes,
of your own self-published book. So, Shonda, tell us, give us a brief synopsis or summary of what In Between Love is about.
In the story, Raven, who is a single mom of a little boy, his name is EJ, finds herself in a position where she's out of a relationship that she thought was going to last, but the guy had to move away, and she finds herself being interested in someone else. And it was, you have that feeling of, am I transferring an old emotion or this emotion that I have onto a new person? But then she finds out that the relationship was actually very different. It was, it was very passionate, and not to say that she didn't have that with the other person. It just, this new guy brought something else out of her. And that, along with trying to raise a son by herself and be, a prominent woman in society, took her on a very interesting journey. And she missed some things along the way, some things that she probably could have been paying closer attention to, but I think she was paying more attention to how she was feeling instead of the clues that were being left for her to understand that this may not have been the relationship for her.
Okay. Wow. Shonda, I tell you, as you're speaking and telling us about your book, I personally believe, without even having to take a survey, that your story, or this, I'm saying your story, the story that you've written about, I am sure that someone either has, is, or is probably going to live it out in their life in the future at some point. And it can, your story sounds like it is so relative to what so many women have gone through. Tell me the kind of feedback that you have received from other people who have purchased your book or who have read your story. What is some of the feedback that you've gotten back from it?
That it's very well written. That it's believable.
Right, exactly.
Especially with, the mother and son connection. I tried to make a very close connection, when you don't have a father for, a father figure.
Father figure.
Boys, most of the time you need to find something else for them. So there is a father figure for EJ in the story. So that, gives, it is something for everyone in the story. It's not just, a woman's kind of romance, regular romance kind of novel. It's more real. It can be, like you said, people have been through this. People have been through heartbreak and, come back from it, or been in between a different kind of feeling for someone that lets you know that love with different people can be different. It's not going to always be the same.
That's
And
powerful
people think
right
that
there.
they're going to get the same kind of love, but you're not dating the same person. So the love will be different. The emotions will be different. The situations that you experience will be different. And that's something that you learn from this book, that the other one didn't diminish what she had with the other people. This was just new. It was something different. It was more expressive, and that gives you hope that love is not dead. It was just different.
Exactly. That's powerful, what you just said. Oh, that is so powerful. And in the society that we live in today, when everything is so instantaneous and everyone, I'm not going to say everyone, but people want a quick fix. They like a quick fix. Dating and courtship is not what it used to be, I would say, when our parents or grandparents were coming along. Yes, this is a totally different generation. But as far as morals are concerned, as far as etiquette is concerned, there are a whole lot of things that are different. I just want to piggyback on that word you just used, that are different. And you're so right. So often, I believe women end up, I would say, messing up a blessing. You can miss, I'll put it to you that way, you can miss a blessing that I would say God has sent your way, or something that is as wonderful that has come into your life, the opposite sex, by carrying things from your old relationship, or by looking for what took place in your old relationship to happen in your new relationship. But just like you said, which is so powerful, it's different. It's like moving from one neighborhood to another. It's like going from one job to another. There might be some things that are the same, but every man is not the same, regardless of what women have said. Every man, is not the same. Every relationship is not the same, because people, to a certain extent, are the same, and then again, they're not. But you have to be willing, just like the young lady in your book, you have to be willing to give things a try. You have to be willing to give love a try. That your book sounds it's so very intriguing. Now let's segue into you as the poet. Does your poetry focus on love, women, family, men, children, or anything else in particular?
My poetry is more emotional. It's how I express whatever I'm feeling at that time. It could be about just about anything. I can hear something in the wind and write about it. I can, I took a trip to California not too long ago, and I was in the sky. It was my first time being on an airplane. And I looked out and just saw like the clouds and the sky moving and wrote something about it. So it doesn't really have to be like anything can be my muse.
I got you. That's powerful. So let me ask you this. Do you carry around with you a pad? Because, sometimes when people are writers and authors and poets and poetesses, like you said, you could be inspired at any moment. You might go into the grocery store and see something, and an idea might come. You might be inspired, or you might go shopping or something like that. Do you carry around anything with you to write down, just in case?
I have a memory pad on my phone. At any given time, I can stop. I've pulled over in my car so that I can write something down, because once it comes up, I have to get it out, because, it's time to leave. You have to get it right in there. But most of the time, it's like waking up out of my sleep. I have a notepad and an ink pen right next to my bed, because if it's in my sleep, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to write that down. And in the morning, it might be different things, and I'll put it all together throughout the day, but that's usually how it is. So I always have the notepad and the ink pen on hand.
On hand. That is wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay, dear, we have a few more minutes left, which is good. You also are a songwriter. Tell us about that. What kind of songs, or what genre of songs do you write, Shonda?
Mostly R&B, and I have some gospel songs. The very first song I wrote, I love Brandy. She is my absolute favorite. And she had this like reality TV show, and at the end of one of the episodes, she was sitting at the piano and she was kind of playing it and humming, and I got a notebook, my first time ever writing a song, and wrote out a whole song to fit her voice. So I kind of write songs to fit different voices or whatever. So most of it is R&B, but that was like my first time writing a song, and it's different when you write a book. It's different. Well, poetry is kind of the same, because like Jill Scott uses a whole lot of poetry when she's writing music and stuff. So it's kind of like that. Like your poetry kind of turns into a song.
That's a very good way of looking at it. Now, when you do write these songs, you don't do it out of a hobby, do you? Or do you copyright your songs, or do you do it as a hobby?
No, I'm doing copywriting, and I have some demos done. So I actually have a writing partner, so we are going to do some amazing things in songwriting.
Excellent. That's good. That's good. And lastly, as of late, you've become a contributing writer to S.U.M magazine. Tell us a little bit about that, Shonda.
Yes, they asked me to be a contributing writer for Something Unique magazine. It's based in St. Louis, and my first piece was actually a poetry piece that they put out on 2 Saturdays ago. So it's very fun. It's something different to do, and I think it will help enhance my writing. When you have to do something and someone else is kind of, being privy to it in a bigger scale, it kind of helps you broaden and develop your writing out some more. So I think that will help a lot.
Wow. Shonda, I tell you, it has been a joy talking to you tonight. And again, Celebrity Spotlight wants to say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and for being our guest. Thank you for sharing with us your book writing skills, your book itself, and just sharing with us about your poetry and your journey. Now, share with us your contact information and where can your book be published? I mean, not published. Where can your book be purchased? Pardon me.
The book is on Amazon.com. If you go to Amazon.com and put in Between Love / Shonda Tennelle Poem, you can order it in paperback and on ebook. You can follow me on Twitter at Tennelle, Tennelle, and 333. 3 is my favorite number. Okay. And those are my 2 contacts.
Excellent. Hold on one second, dear, please.